Well, now my play Marine Life is up here at the Tarragon, and I'm also I've created a web series, and I'm directing the first episode next week, and that's about social media and how we wish ourselves to be seen versus how we are really in reality. It's called Look How Great I'm Doing, and I'm also working on a couple of television shows. It's considerably more European in a lot of ways to do more than one thing. Here, people want you to just be a writer, just be a director, just be a producer. For me, I am really interested in every aspect of creation, and I love the process of creation more than I love anything else. It was at the time that I wrote Leo. I began writing it when I was in Thailand, in Bangkok, and I had been volunteering for a foundation there with many orphans and really in the slums of Bangkok. And it became apparent to me so much of what my mother and my grandmother had been fighting for, which was basic human rights in Chile at the time, things that in Canada we take for granted. And I just thought about when you're young how much you believe that you can make a difference. And I could see already in Thailand, and I was still relatively very young at the time, but that it's also very rich, very wealthy there. So you can see the disparity between extreme wealth and extreme poverty. And I thought of that notion of being 15, 16, 17 years old, thinking, this isn't fair, we're going to change it. But seeing at the same time these corporate giants, these huge corporate entities, political entities that will never let that really happen. And that's what really inspired me to write it. It was like an homage to the youth. And Salvador Allende said to be young and not to be revolutionary is a contradiction in terms, and I thought that was a beautiful statement, and that's what I wanted to explore in the play. The desire to make change in a world that in many ways can be unchangeable. I guess my family is probably the most important thing to me in my life, so it wouldn't be surprising if they would end up in my work. Sometimes it happens, like with my play True, which I didn't think was about my family at all. It was very specifically a takeoff from King Lear, like a modern day idea, and then my sister came and my tia came and they said, "Oh, so you wrote about the family?" And I went, "What?" And then I looked at it and they were right. And I just hadn't even been aware of it, which is scary.
You go there?
Yeah, I go very often. I have a lot of family there still. My mother's sister, Pamela, was always there. She died last year, which is very hard for the family. She had cancer. I was very close with her, and she's very young. Her daughter is also one of my best friends. And it's just always been a part of my life. I grew up, mi primera lengua fuera español, castellano. Toda la comida que yo comí, todas las canciones que yo conozco, like everything was, in mi niñez fue primarily Chilean in many ways. Isabel Allende. She's my favorite, always, since I was very little. I had a bird, cockatiel, pajarito, that I named Eva Luna, after her book, yes. Eva Luna. I think Isabel Allende, like every book, even Paula, is still one of my favorite. Like, I think of that book so often.
That's the one she dedicated to her daughter.
Her
right?
daughter. It was about her daughter entirely, and the death of her daughter. And she taught me about magic realism and about life and love and how you see yourself. And I just loved her work so much. And I started reading her, I think, when I was 11. So she became a huge part of my trajectory. And in some ways, I think it was very exciting because I grew up in a home that was very Chilean, Spanish, South American, but I grew up in a culture that wasn't. And so Isabel Allende brought to me. I could read her, obviously I was reading her in English.
She wrote the Espíritus.
Yeah, that has the spirits. She brought me the whole... She brought me the
Y
whole...
de casa, she wrote the Espíritus.
Yeah, exactly. Leo fue traducido, so there was a translation of Leo, done by Bruce Gibbons-Fell, who also does the translation of Marine Life here.
Yes.
On Sundays we have sobretitulos, subtitles.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, so we had a reading at El Museo de Memoria in Santiago, Chile, a couple of years ago. And then Leo was also presented in a festival at Playwrights Horizons in New York City. And then a lot of them have been in like smaller venues around. A lot of it has been studied. I've been in like final theses for universities. Well, Marine Life is really a romantic comedy about these two people who should not really be together, but they should be together. But I know it's like every romantic comedy, which is what we talk about in the play even. She's an activist, he's a corporate lawyer. They're on opposite ends of the spectrum. And what the play is ultimately about is the fact that we all need to work together. Exactly. I'm not a fan of didacticism. I don't think it's fun to go out to the theater and pay money and be lectured.
So it's not a pamphlet about save the whales.
Absolutely not. It's about our flaws as human beings, our self-destructive tendencies, and how they reverberate into the way that we treat our planet, and that they're not separable. It's about becoming more human and more kind with each other. That is at the bottom, at the heart of the play. And I think that people... I meet so many people who used to go to the theater who don't anymore because they were tired of feeling bad. They were just tired of going to plays and leaving feeling bad, There were so many serious subjects. It's true, though. It sounds funny, but... and these are people who would go, who had subscriptions, who would, pay their money to go and decided they didn't want to do that anymore. And I really think that to create something that is entertaining but is still about something is the direction to go in, to keep people, to make them want to go, to leave their homes, So.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you
it's
so much.
on till December 17th here at the theater.
Okay.
And cada domingo tenemos sobretítulos
En español.
en español.